over 3 years since Trevor's last outing into the world of off-highway logging in the Kaingaroa forest. We catch up with Gibbo Dungy's new Mack Titan and driver JJ Caulfield, the day shift driver on the Titan timber unit. We couldn't be in better hands given JJ's years of experience. Climbing up into this beast is no easy mission as Trevor's awaiting a knee rebuild, and with only 2 steps between the ground and the cab floor, they're spaced well apart. There are good grab handles to assist, but the spacings are just too much, with what must be close to 500mm climb from the top step into the cab. The reward is that once inside, you're sitting up high with good vision. The cab is very well appointed with nice burgundy trim, ultra leather throughout and a wood grain dash. It certainly gives a feeling of luxury in this serious work ute. The driver and passenger both get an Isri premium big boy seat with integrated seat belts. The dash layout is very standard Mack with all major gauges right in front of the driver. An engine diagnostic screen, tacho, speedo, diffs, gearbox, engine temperature and air pressure. On the centre console is an array of the usual switches, and on the steering column to the left is the indicator lever. On the right, the cruise control lever, the latter almost redundant on the Titan timber unit as it's hard to imagine JJ getting to use it running in this terrain at its typical gross weights. We're heading east only about 10 k's from the yard for a load of mixed pulp logs from the skid site run by Leyland Logging Crew. With the lead trailer stacked up on the tractor unit, the ride is very comfortable with a lot less of the empty truck bounce. It gives Trevor a good chance to get a feel for the truck and to get a heads up from JJ on its operation. Once loaded, we head off bound for Kawarau with a gross weight of around 120 tonne, thus a payload of just over 80 tonne. It's quite modest in the scheme of things around here, with loads regularly around the 140 tonne mark. Thankfully, despite the 120 tonne, this truck is very driver friendly with very good in-cab noise levels, a light clutch pedal and good gear shift feel. Any poor shifts are purely the fault of the driver and not the truck, as Trevor gets used to the heavy weights and making full gear downshifts at around 1400 RPM rather than the lugging down to 1100 that you do in highway operations. There's also the matter of adjusting to how quickly the high weight drags the truck's speed back on any uphills, no matter how slight they look. Gibbo has gone for the lower rating available with the Titan's MP10 engine, 600 horsepower and 2065 foot-pounds, rather than the higher rated 685 2300 combo, because the 18-speed Eaton Road Ranger is only rated up to 2250 pound-foot. He was also looking for greater reliability from the more conservative power rating, while still having ample power for the job. It's not about being fast out here, slow and steady gets the job done more safely and economically. The high-mounted cab really adds to the driver's vision, and driving out from the skid side on the single-lane bush track, it makes positioning the truck on the narrow road very easy. Once back on the seal, it's a series of climbs and descents all the way to Kawarau. The ride is very good despite the heavy suspension. You can certainly feel the load on behind, but despite its heavy presence, everything about the drive is very light and user-friendly, with excellent feel through the steering wheel and very little wander. The pedals feel more like a car's than a truck's, with a very light clutch and low-mounted brake and throttle pedals. In fact, it takes a bit of getting used to the clutch. It's very short travel, only needing toe operation rather than the whole foot. As you start into each of the climbs, the weight of the unit immediately takes effect and revs drop quickly, prompting you to grab gears early rather than late, keeping the MP10 right up in the 1400 to 2000 RPM range. Similarly, on the downhills, the load's opposite effect calls for careful gear selection, regularly dropping to third high and running the Mack Power Leash engine brake on full power most of the time. The power leash works really well, and in fact, on the last round to Kawarau, Trevor switches between its high and medium settings to avoid over-braking. With our lack of knowledge of the roads we cover, JJ's constant commentary is extremely useful, including early warnings of what lie ahead. There's certainly no replacement for experience out here. At the mill in Kawarau, it's time for us to give JJ's truck back. We only very occasionally get the chance to test one of these giants of the New Zealand transport industry, and every time we do, we can't help but be impressed by the guys who operate these trucks. It's a job that takes a certain kind of driver and a certain kind of truck. JJ is certainly that kind of driver, and the Mack Titan is certainly that kind of truck. Nothing less would survive out here.